Do it.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to SANDCAST Beach Volleyball with Triborn and Travis Morder. We only have 4 people in here. Our last episode was a little crowded. I guess it would have been 2 episodes by now with the Crabs, Taylor Sander, Nick Lucena, and then our fans.
That was hectic. That was a bit hectic.
But we got some international flavor coming in here. We got you guys out of Canada. We got Sam Schachter back. Last time we had you on, we were in the kitchen. And Dan Dearing, first timer. Welcome, boys.
Thanks for having us.
North.
Real different training center down here than what you guys have in Toronto, I think.
Yeah, it's a little better. The sun makes a difference.
And you guys came down on a good week, too.
I know. Well, the first 2 days were gnarly.
Right.
Like I caught the wind and the cold, and we were a little concerned. And then it turned around.
That's exactly. I was like,
it changes quick.
It does.
And then we had
nice.
a perfect week this last week, and then I heard tomorrow we might have rain.
We'll see.
Potentially.
My weather report says something completely different than your guys.
Oh, right?
Yeah. It says it's not going to rain till like the evening, so let's hope.
Yeah,
It's like 50 degrees. You're like, perfect weather, tank top weather, and I'm like out there wearing gloves. I do. Joking, I wear gloves sometimes.
Oh my god! I remember like when we were training out here for the first time, and like it was pretty cold in February some days, and Pedlo would always wear his come out without a shirt, and we'd always get tripped by it. Yeah.
Of course.
But we looked tan by the end of it. We go to Mexico not looking like a bunch of white boys. It was nice.
it's a big difference though. Like you come from Toronto, it's freezing, and then you come out here and it's like 9-10 degrees, and everyone's like freezing, and it's like, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Spoiled.
And let's be clear, this is 9-10 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit. You're saying it's 9-10, it's not that cold. I'm like, all right, this is the Winter Olympic.
An important clarification.
This is an interview about snow volleyball.
Which Jake and Russ just got back from snow.
Exactly.
Didn't they? That hot in Turkey.
Yeah. And Turkey too, eh? Like I was surprised by that. I was like, isn't it hot in Turkey? And they're like, I guess they play up in the mountains.
Well, they said it was kind of funny because Jake, I saw him the first day that he was here when it was like kind of cold and windy, and he said that it was the same temperature here that it was in Turkey, and they said that they just had to keep making snow to keep the courts full.
Nice, that's cool.
Yeah.
Pictures look beautiful.
Snow's fun.
Yeah.
It's I don't think it should be a professional or Olympic sport, but something to do for fun. That's great.
Yeah, isn't that what they were pushing for originally?
It was an exhibition in Pyeongchang in 2018. Emmanuel played.
What?
Oh, really?
Rigo, yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, Jibo was out there too. Remember Jibo from New York?
Of course. That was my favorite player growing up.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
watching him
Everyone
play
did.
indoor,
He was so gnarly.
Yeah.
But I think they were just paying big names to show up to make it seem cooler.
Yeah.
It sounded
did it
fun.
work?
It sounded like everyone had fun partying, but
Because
didn't
when
sound
we
like it was that
were in
entertaining.
Italy and Austria, Jibo was playing with Marcio, the guy who took second in Beijing, lost to Phil and Todd, and then their third player was Ricardo's son. So they had a pretty good team.
There you go.
Oh, damn.
It's a good
That's a pretty
bloodline.
good team.
Jeez.
Yeah. But we're playing twos volleyball here, and we got new squad here. How's it been going?
Good.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, we've only been really in the sand since January, so we're still sort of in the honeymoon phase. Still like each other. No, but it's amazing. Dan's making a little return, and he was back on the tour in
2015 was my last event.
Yeah, so he's back in a big way, hopefully, and heading out to Mexico next week.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting to start and compete again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And well, you joined us in the cellar in the One Star for a little while. I mean, how was it? I mean, last event 2015, and you come out playing One Stars with Ivan Reka. I mean, how was it just competing again, even though it wasn't at that 4 and 5 star level?
No, it felt great to feel the growth within yourself, mentally, and you can slow down the game a bit better and be a little bit more present. So you can see the game within the game, and it was a pretty good gap to know after 7 years I can, feel it. It feels like a different sport when you're in a different mindset, so that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Grateful for a second chance, and I got a phone call from Sam like 2 years ago saying that he was looking at a new partnership and potentially it being me. So I got my shit together, started, really dialing it in and being disciplined and committed to the process when I wasn't previously in my mid-20s. So I can feel the difference for sure.
I bet.
Yeah.
What brought you back? I mean, obviously the call from Sam's pretty good, but 7 years, it's a long time.
Yeah,
to leave the sport.
Definitely sacrifices had to be made and change in lifestyle. But I told myself when I retired, and stopped playing, I said, I kid you not, I said, if I would only go back if one person in Canada gave me a phone call. And I said that to the girlfriend I was dating at the time, and a year and a half into our relationship, I got that phone call. And I was like, wow, is this actually happening? And I had to think about it and process it and make some life changes, but I don't regret anything.
Because we had good weather this week. Until the honeymoon phase is over, Sam's annoying you.
Forget a cloudy day. This was a huge mistake.
You left your dishes on the table.
At least you're going to Mexico and it's not like a back-to-back-to-backer in Cancun like it was last year.
Yeah, that's a blessing in disguise because I think we are just getting back into shape. I mean, I'm sure you know it's like after an Olympic cycle when you're making that push, like the toll is insane. And I know I took like 2 months where I was like, no volleyball, please.
Yeah.
And then getting back into shape and ramping back up. And I still think we're working into our top shape. So there's still work to be done, but certainly not having consecutive back-to-back tournaments right away, or at least back-to-back-to-back tournaments is huge. Although we were pretty close to having to play those futures in Australia and Thailand, in which case it would have been back-to-back-to-back to Itapema.
And that's some travel too.
And
Seriously.
An X around the world.
And you can only lose money, the prize money at those tournaments. I'm like, oh my God, please, God, please. Those are going to be tough.
If you win, you lose less.
Exactly, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to Australia.
Yeah, no doubt. It's
That's good.
a lot of changes on tour.
Yeah, right.
A lot of changes.
I was looking at flights to Australia today, and I was like, all right, found some pretty cheap ones, like $1,200. Like, so if we win, we're guaranteed to lose at least $200. That's before the hotel, before food, before the opportunity cost of not working.
This is a sinking feeling.
It's like, damn.
The Russians getting pulled out. Everyone shifted up one spot. Everyone's like, oh, sweet.
That's right. We were training with Latvia, and like at the beginning of the week, they're like, we're first in the qualification. If they didn't change the format to like no qualification in the top 16, we would have been right in. And now they changed it. We're in the fucking qualifier. And then the Russians are out, and they're like, yes!
That was a good call. I think they made the right call there.
That's right. No war, Ukraine, let's go.
We're only one spot ahead of them. Oh my God, I didn't know it. Like the rankings, the new year with people retiring and new partnerships and everything. If you told me I was ranked 20th, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
But I'm ranked 10th. I'm like, oh, sweet. Like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to be ranked. But I'm really happy that I'm in the elite. I mean, I can't believe I have to be top 11 in the world to be in the main draw. But I'm very grateful that I am.
No doubt.
Oh my God. Stick with your partner right now, if you can. Because all the breakups are just like sliding people back.
And there have been some big breakups.
Yeah.
Big ones.
Like Nikolai Lupo splitting up.
Great.
That's crazy. It was bad for us because it knocks us deeper into the qualifier because those two split up and they come down to level. And now we're like, oh my God, all these breakups, please stay together.
Those guys have been playing together for so long. I mean, them and like
Cantor Loziak even longer.
Yeah.
They had the record, I think.
Right?
They were like, when they were 14, they were playing together.
Loziak and Brill now. Yeah, seriously.
Cantor Loziak, I played against them. I played in the World University Games in 2012 or 13 or something, and they were partners. And we were all like, I don't know, 19. No, we were like 21, 22 at the time, and they've been partners ever since.
Yeah.
Like, they got to be just so sick of each other.
Oh my God.
Even if they like each other.
Yeah. I think they don't stay in the same room anymore. For years now.
No, you always saw like Brill and one guy, and then Fifi and the other guy were hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, they just couldn't handle it anymore.
Even when they won Sochi, Loziak was practicing with Fifi.
Right, yeah.
And it was hilarious.
So gnarly.
Yeah.
Same as Nikolai Lupo, probably. Right? They're just like, I love you, but I'm
You're killing me.
Sick of being your partner.
Not Dan and I.
We're not going to get there ever.
That's right. We're different.
Yeah, wait till they serve me every ball.
Like, Dan,
Score a few times. Let's see how you treat me, sweetie.
Hit on two, Sam.
I can't. Don't tell me what to do. Oh man.
Well, you guys, I mean, you were training in Toronto since January, and then coming out here, getting like a bunch of new looks at teams and competing a little bit. Mm-hmm. So how's that been, just adjusting into like a more competitive scenario in practice?
It's been nice. In Toronto, we're restricted in where we can train due to the weather, and you face kind of the same guys over and over and over again. It's a good test for Sam and I to kind of know where we stand when it comes to playing the top U.S. teams here and plus Latvia. I've been watching like you guys for years. I've been like Samoilov and Smedins. I've been watching them for years, and I kind of had a few moments where I'm like, wow, I'm actually here. I can compete against the best and be a professional about it. So it's great to test kind of where I've been at, because I wasn't in the game for that long, but now I plan to be for the next 3 years. So I feel very grateful to have a second chance and to perform at this level. I'm kind of a little starstruck and happy to be my best for everybody. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I mean, so what were you doing when you were off, when you were retired? What did you do with your
I started
life?
Like contract working and coaching. I worked in like the nightclub industry in Toronto, and I just started to try to build my own career and build a relationship and save for a house and kind of move on to some things that we normally want to check
the real
off.
world.
Yeah.
The things that we're all scared of.
Right?
I'll
I'll just side out. Oh, wait a second.
I've been avoiding that for 10 years.
But no, I'm very like passion driven, and again, like I didn't know that the call would come.
Right.
And it kind of threw me off guard, but good thing it happened when it did. Like we were planning on playing together before, but like I said earlier, I wasn't disciplined enough. I didn't have the commitment level. So right place, right time, and even though I'm a little bit older, he's definitely the veteran. So I get to learn from him, and I get to kind of just test myself against other teams.
Yeah, it's cool to come back to a little less, I guess, expectations.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out for 7 years, like, what do you want from me? But then you come back and like right away you can kind of hang with the guys you've been watching. It's like
that's an honor.
So now you can only go up from here, really. And then you got a guy like him, one of the top defenders.
Yeah.
You've been seeing things. He can teach you stuff. Seems like you're in a pretty good situation.
I am very blessed.
I wish this guy could teach me how to jump as high as he does.
Me too.
It's the physicality thing.
Yeah,
It was pretty impressive.
But then your nose would be bloody like his.
That's true. I think a lot of other people's nose would be bloody.
I can't say you should see the other guy because there's nothing wrong with him.
You got the point.
That's true.
We established that earlier.
Worth it.
That's how you jump high, when you're getting hit in the face and getting the block at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem. I jump perfectly like right here. And I'm good.
Oh, that's amazing.
You guys
nose
both
hides.
fly though. I mean,
Yeah, that's
don't sell yourself short.
Don't put me in that class.
Watching you guys play the Latvians the other day, I was like, geez Louise, you guys play at like a different altitude. It was fun to watch. It was like a fun little match. You guys had a good little crowd on the Strand.
Yeah. Got a little of that pressure, that feeling, the butterflies. I was excited for that.
Definitely.
We're like going in there with the Canadians. We're like, we'll see you on the 16th on Wednesday, on Thursday. And I'm like, okay, shit.
Should put some little like stands out there. Just make the one court.
Yeah.
That'd actually be pretty
That
cool.
would be
It would be fun.
really good.
The center court of the South Bay. It really is. Like
It is.
Like I walked up this morning. I'm like, it's funny that the international teams come, and out of all the courts, they come right to the one court that all the U.S. teams practice at.
Yep.
and I'm not that team.
Yeah.
We're always like, we're gonna go down.
Yeah.
About 10 blocks and just be by ourselves.
We don't know the protocol here. We don't the innocent.
I like how you guys moved today.
The
though.
etiquette,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I could care less. I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to practice on one court over. But last week, I think Chase and Troy had the court when we showed up for national team practice, And like afterwards, it was like a full discussion. Like, should we move? Should we ask them? I was like, I mean, this was pretty good right here, about 15 feet down, but
Yeah.
something about that court.
Chase is territorial about that court because last year or 2 years ago, when everyone started using 16th, he was like, "I've been playing on this court for years." He's like, "It wasn't until COVID hit that this is the only place people could play. They started coming on my court." So Chase is like, "That's his
NBA
thing."
for years.
I heard that.
Yeah, 7 years. But his boy Ed Keller's house is right there. So
Yeah.
that's like that's the stands is sitting on Ed
And Greg Delgado.
Greg Delgado's porch. It's pretty great.
I mean, that court is prime time. Like, you guys were training there today, and you drew a small crowd, just like training, the national team. So it's like, I do get it.
No, it is cool. It's cool to have like a spot. And over the years, like we've heard back in the day, it used to be like Santa Monica, and then it was like kind of 8th Street.
Marine Street was huge for a while.
Yeah, Marine Street back in the day.
Yeah.
8th Street with Rosie was kind of like famous. And then, but 16th too back in the day. I guess it's always had that draw. It's what, I mean, if there's someone in the volleyball community with a Strand house, we're all like,
That's
you know someone, we'll play in front of your house.
Yeah.
And hang out with you.
That's cool.
Jake was funny because I saw him he was practicing on 8th today. And so I think he started at 16th and walked down. And he was like, "Dude, I just saw like Taylor Sander, I saw the Latvians, I saw this and that." I was like, if you just take like an hour and walk up and down the Strand, you'll see pretty much the top 20 U.S. volleyball players. And now, like, because a lot of international teams will come here for when there's Mexican events. So you guys are here, the Latvians are here. The Latvian women are here because Tina plays at USC, so Anastasia's in town. It's pretty fun. It's just like the World Training Center right now.
Nikolai's coming out. Qatar's coming out. Yeah, it's going to be.
Right. I think you guys are doing a little training camp with them, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that should be good.
So you guys are going to bail on our training?
Yeah.
It's okay. They re-upped with us. It's okay. I'm not bitter about it.
We'll practice with you tomorrow in the ring.
That's right.
When I'm wearing gloves. I might wear my wetsuit, actually. We'll see.
Do you guys know where you stand are you in the main draw for Challenger?
No, we are not. We're ranked 22nd right now in the qualifier.
We're deep in there.
Yeah,
That's a nasty
I think we're matched
qualifier.
up with a U.S. team. I'm pretty sure we're matched up
with Andy.
Andy
And we were saying that.
Yeah.
It was like
So ironic.
They're like, "Oh God, this guy's gonna take a look at the qualification list and kick us out of his place."
Well, you are one, in no danger of Andy being mean, two, in no danger of Andy looking at the list either. He'll be the last to know when and who he plays.
Wait, who's Andy signed up with?
Nick.
Oh, Nick's the ones that you guys are lined up. Wow, yeah. I forgot.
It's getting changed so often though, because with teams dropping out.
Yeah, because Nick was signed up.
It never stays the
Just
same.
for fun, he signed up with Theo to see if he could get in. That was for Rosarito, though, right?
Rosarito,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they get in?
I'm all over the place.
Did they not get in?
They're in the qualifier, so then Kane swapped back in.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Did he pull out with injury? Wait, what?
I don't know how Nick pulled out, but Nick pulled out and Kane
Got
subbed in.
Cam got his points?
Well, no, so I think that Nick and Theo might have signed up before they changed the system to having a qualifier.
Oh.
Because if there was no qualifier, I think Nick and Theo would have been main draw Elite 16. But then since they added the qualifier, Nick and Theo were in the qualifier, which Cam and Theo would have been in anyway. So then Cam just subbed back in for Nick.
I see, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Gotcha.
So,
Man, can we talk about what that Elite 16 qualifier is going to look like?
Oh my god, I'm so glad I'm not in it.
Dude.
I mean, it's kind of a joke.
Hell.
Like, that shouldn't be a qualifier, it should just be another tournament. Which I guess is what the Challenger events are, but I mean, in terms of like a good, entertaining product that the tour has to present to the world, it's like
half those teams are usually in the quarters.
Right.
yeah.
So it's like you're playing a quarterfinal in a qualifier
Yeah.
to get into the top
nasty.
six. It's insane.
The
I want to be in it, but like still.
Yeah.
The rankings, like if you really just took a look at all the rankings, you'd see some great names way down at the bottom, and some names that haven't really done all that much way at the top. It's like has no real indication of like where the rankings are right now. It's like a full scramble we have no idea who's ranked. You know, obviously the Norway and Qatar outperformed everybody last year, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's just like a full reset. We have no idea who's the top teams. Like
Borman's de Groot is in there?
Yeah, aren't they like top 3 or something?
Yeah.
They've got one, not one good event, but like realistically, they won Stade, right?
Right.
Well,
But I think they also did
won
won a couple
European
Mexico
champs.
I saw that.
Really?
I watched that match.
They blew a 12-8 lead over Anders and Christian in the third and lost
really?
European. Yeah, I mean, they were like
and-
beast mode the whole time.
Wow.
They're freaking good.
Yeah.
I think that they're legit. I'm glad that they're in
Yeah.
because that's like a good, young, fun team.
Right.
It was funny, the entry list for, which one's the challenger? Mexico City was, the top 3 teams were all Dutch. It was Brouwer Musen, Bormans de Groot, Varenhorst Van de Velde. It's like, jeez Louise, how did that happen?
Dude, I know. I'm hoping Varenhorst Van de Velde don't have so much energy. Like when those two are like not tired and just bombing away serves and side out, it's so gnarly.
Yeah.
Just massive.
They do play a very high effort game, like especially Van de Velde.
Right.
Yeah, like that indoor background, like that guy pounds balls.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like holy cow.
Just fully ripping it as hard as he can, like it's indoor.
Yeah.
When you're in defense against a guy like Van de Velde, is it just basically it's blocker or nothing? I mean, because can you dig a guy?
Deal with it.
Hitting... Come on,
Can you
Dan.
deal with this guy, please?
Yeah. Exactly.
I can't dig him. Look at that. my new defensive style. I start teaching this in my clinics.
Dude,
Coaching a college team, guys. Here we go. This is it.
Oh, dude.
Watch the video.
He was teeing off on me and Trevor, and like I think we
Played him in Sochi.
I don't remember when else we played them. Yeah, other than Sochi. But in Sochi, he was going off, and I was touching like I'm like he's ripping the shit out of everything. I'm just gonna ball like just try to follow him, and I was touching everything, but he was like blasting it through my hands. He was hitting it so hard.
Yeah.
And then Trevor's back there like, can you hit a shot, please? Like, Trevor's waiting for a high line or something, and yeah, he was just tearing us apart. But it hasn't been all that sustainable. At times it has been though. Like last year he had a few really great events.
When they're hot, they're hot.
I didn't think that it would be as sustainable as he has made it. So that's why I'm like, it's kind of scary.
Well, then he
I
got
hope
hurt.
runs out of gas.
I mean, you gotta like serve bombs at him and pray for the wind gods
Yeah.
to start blowing the ball all over the place, and then you definitely need like an impact blocker to get in their face.
Well, that guy was Bernhorst before too. Like when he was with
Numerdor.
Numerdor, he was like, I remember watching warm up, me and Hayden, and I was like, I've never seen someone hit the ball. Like I've never seen the ball hit the sand so hard. And he's playing with this other guy where it's like he's the other guy where I've never seen the ball hit the sand so hard. It's pretty
It's like
gnarly.
ironic. The only person who could stop him is his own partner.
How much? I mean, the game's changed so much, Dan, since you played last. Like when you came out, and Latvia's running all kinds of crazy stuff now. Obviously, like you've been watching them play a little bit, but is it like a totally different game from when you left it in 2015, or is it pretty close to like what you thought it'd be?
No, it's changed a lot. Just seeing from a computer screen how fast the game's getting.
Yeah.
How well everybody seems to be passing the ball to control that pass to become a set, like the young Swedish guys, and how well they do at moving the ball. It's cool to see the evolution of the game change. But then you have different style. Like it feels like teams have their strengths, but also teams have their styles of how they score points. And even with Latvia, I'm like, ball man, and I'm like, set, jump, set, go, and it's like they're doing a good job, not like taking away from the physicality of a blocker, and it's like it's not really about your jump, it's about lateral movement and your eye work, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much to think about. That you just kind of have to strategize more, because it's not just the pass, up and down, set, and then hit, line, cut. It's so many more other fast tempo sets, and the ball control has just gotten phenomenal. Even with like the power, it's still like we're passing better.
Right.
Overall, men's teams are just passing better, which is pretty cool.
How was it just coming back onto the sand? Because if I take like 3 or 4 days off, I just feel like I haven't played. Might as well be a year. And you took several years off, and now I mean you're playing and competing well with some of the best teams in the world.
Thank you. No, I was always still coaching. I was still in the sand, teaching, what I've learned to the next generation of youth. But I had the opportunity of, like, once Josh Binstock retired and stopped playing with Schachter, I had an opportunity to play with him during 2 off seasons during the summer. So I was still taking in information from one of Canadians' best, and I was still playing in local North American tournaments. So I was still getting my feet hot and sandy. But I definitely wasn't playing at that high level. So I've still been in the game, just within Canada and within our community up there. But so I haven't, for 2 years I was completely out of it, which was nice. But then I had this passion in me that I tried to drive towards my career and other things that I wanted to establish. But yeah, now I can feel like I'm grateful to have a second chance and take that passion and put it into a more powerful mind. So I'm just excited for that.
Did you miss it?
I missed it, definitely. There's a passion inside me that I couldn't quite, find and fuel it on something and latch onto. So I think it's meant to be that I could now just transfer that passion into myself and playing with Canada's best. So
I think that's awesome, and I think it's awesome that you took the call and you answered, because I think one of the worst feelings that we can end up with is just like wondering, like, what if? And I think that's awesome that, like, whatever happens, like, you're not gonna have to wonder that, like, you're back. That's pretty sweet.
It is. Thank you. Very excited. I'm excited for what's ahead. I'm excited for, not a lot of international teams know who I am, and they're definitely going to test me over Schachter, who's been a professional for 14 years. So I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready for the load, and I have such a great partner to support me through that pressure. So it's going to be fun.
I love seeing the team in the honeymoon phase.
After like the second tournament, you can't pass the fucking ball.
The World Tour's like.
even just with my lack of experience playing internationally, even after today's practice, I was like, oh, they're serving Sam majority of the volleyballs. And they're speaking pretty aggressively. I don't know what they're saying. Like, is there anything I'm doing wrong? They're like, no, trust me, you're doing okay. So I have those funny moments of inexperience of whoa, they're different language. They're speaking aggressively. But then I just sometimes just ask questions like that. And just worry about our game, man. Don't worry about it. So.
Dude, it's crazy. You were talking earlier about how the game's just, there's so many things to think about. And I'm like, I feel like that every day. How many years am I into split blocking? I feel like such a rookie on defense, and I didn't leave the sport. I did for a second, but you've been gone for 7 years, and I'm still I feel the same way actually. It seems so complicated. There's so many variations of one thing that you can do. How complicated is blocking line? It doesn't seem very complicated, but then there's dragging your hands here, or going up high, or taking some of the seam, or there's just so many variations. And then what's the guy behind you doing? And it's just a crazy sport. It's so much different than indoor in that sense. And I'm seeing it too with hearing Taylor Sander come out, and he's like, tell me one thing at a time. This is way too complicated. I'm like, okay, good. So it's not just me, because I'm a little slow sometimes. God, I've been playing this a long time, and I feel like a complete rookie out here. But no, I think that's just the beauty of beach, is that it is that much more complicated and cerebral, and that you're always going to have, my point is you're always going to have those thoughts of wow, I have so much more to learn. Not just because you're 7 years out isn't you're that far behind, I don't think. To us, it doesn't look that you're that far behind. But I remember having that feeling too when I came back after 2 years, when I'm like, God, this is going to take forever. And I was like, oh, I guess I still got it. I'm all those reps watching and even teaching. Sometimes they say the best way to learn something is to teach it. So that could work in your favor too.
Definitely. Even with our new coach, I coach clinics as well, adults and youth. So it's I have the opportunity to teach something that I've learned that I can now share. And again, as you teach it, you're just teaching yourself too, that same pattern, and that's pretty cool.
And your willingness to learn, right? Like your mindset around that, and like if you're willing to grow and expose yourself to new ideas.
Yeah. And
I think like a lot of people struggle with that because they actually resist that growth, that's going to take them to the next level potentially, right? Which is why, you know, if you're physical, you're a dime a dozen, because everyone on tour is physical. Yeah. But the greatest players really have that mindset where they're interested in learning new wrinkles, and it's like you look at Mole and you're right, like there's, you know, how many styles does he adopt? He can go single, he can drop one hand, he can split, he can go up, he can press, he can do all these things at the age of, you know, 22, 23, and then there are players who are in their mid-30s who have sort of this one style of blocking, and they're a little bit monotonous maybe with it. So and that's why we're so excited to work with Dan. He's an amazing listener, an amazing learner, and the growth happens so quickly. So it's exciting.
It's like having coached for so long, now you know how to be coached as well, right? Because you've been on the other side of it. You're like, oh, I hated it when players did this to me. I'm gonna not do that to this guy.
I know, coach. Well, do you know?
Because it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, like even yesterday we had a pretty private practice with our coach, and he's like, yeah, you need to like, you know, slide in and do your timing step. I'm like, wow. Like I coached that. I've said that hundreds of times, but yet I'm not doing it myself.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to have that little feedback. Again, that you change your game just slightly. You can change the score by 1 point. And like, I'll do 1,000 reps and change the score by 1 point.
I know. I remember getting to the end of a lot of seasons where I'm like, if you gave me 5 points to spread out where I wanted them, I think I'd be ranked top 5 in the world. Like, it comes down to that, like 1 or 2 matches here and there. Winning the 5th place match instead of losing it, like, that's the biggest difference right there.
Yeah. I mean, you look at, like, I was talking with Kent Staffis, and he's like, you know, I won something like 110 tournaments, but a lot of those were, and this was in the side-out days, a lot of those were 17, 15s. So, you know, a matter of 1 point here, 2 points there, and that goes from 110 to 65. And people would look at it and be like, oh, you know, 65 is a huge difference from 110, but in reality, it's just a couple points here and there. It's like 1,000 reps for 1 point. It's a pretty good trade-off if you think about it.
Definitely.
So true.
Oh, yeah. I see the Believe on your shirt, and is that this matching?
It is, yeah.
There? So is that something that you came up with?
Correct. Yeah. When I stopped playing, I looked back at my life and I realized I had a lot of great mentors and people that gave me the opportunity to play the sport and took care of things financially. So I told myself, you know what, if I was blessed to go down this path, and a lot of my life has revolved around the volleyball community, I wanted to give back to kids that also didn't have the chance. So I started a bit of a fundraiser and clothing and creating opportunity for them to kind of get to know how good they are. And a few kids were able to, you know, go to like a really high club in Toronto, and they did really well. And my first sponsored athlete is now playing in his first year at Harvard University, playing indoor. Yeah. So I latched onto it. And what I realized when I started to install belief in other young athletes was the fact that I didn't really have belief in myself. It was the lack of belief that I had that I wanted to like get other kids to believe in themselves. But now what I didn't realize was this kind of reflects more on myself now. So like starting that, cool. And going down that passion, I came to a realization of, wait a second, I can't like genuinely, authentically be like, you need to believe in yourself. I'm like, wait a second, do I even believe in myself? Was I committed when I need to? So it was like, it was kind of an eye opener, and then it's like, wow. So I love competing, I love learning, I love playing at this high level. But like a huge part of me now is to be able to like believe in myself when adversity and challenges and fear are right in front of me, when you're losing or when you're feeling sore or like you're a little injured, to be able to be like, all right, I'm gonna practice what I preach now. So, and then I created it like just like a business, like an I Believe Volleyball, where again, knowing we can teach a kid how to pass and set and swing, like it's more about the mindset of the game and like getting through those challenges. So
that's cool.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny that the last like 5-7 years have been this sort of incubator where you've done and preached all these messages that you now have to espouse yourself. You've been coaching these kids to do these things, and you're like, shoot, like I got to get my feet to ball now. I got to beat myself now, man. You get to live it.
It's funny how it works. It's like having the opportunity of being an athlete and a coach now kind of together is pretty powerful, and you realize, wait a second, do I actually do what I say?
Yeah, there's so much to gain from stepping away from the sport. Like when I was out for 2 years, it was like I feel like I gained all these different little pieces. Yeah, I got behind a bit in terms of just the fundamentals and the touches and whatnot, but there was so much to gain from it, and I kind of created mine was like a logo too, but like meant something to me rather than like making a logo that's TB, or whatever, my name. It actually means something, and it's a sticker I put on stuff and whatnot. But I feel like it's the same thing where it's like you kind of took a step back, looked at yourself, what could you do, how could you help others learn these same lessons, and now it's like you're guiding, kind of North Star kind of thing, I guess.
That's a good analogy. I like that. That's pretty cool.
I like it.
Well, you just got finished the grind. You mentioned what a grind an Olympic qualification process is. Mm-hmm. What was that decompression process like for you? I mean, because I don't know, is Pedlo retired?
I think he's retired mostly from international play. I think he'll maybe do some domestic stuff. I think probably do some AVP next, which is, I don't know what that tour is called now.
You don't need a green card for AVP next?
No, not the next tour. I think for the Pro Tour and the Gold Tour you do. So I think I sort of was asking, we still talk once in a while, and he was just I was like, hey, what are your plans? What are you doing? He's like, I'll probably just play some domestic stuff, and we have a Worlds Trials coming up. I don't know if he's going to be participating in that because I think he's still eligible to do that, so he might pick up one of the younger guys and do that with them. But yeah, I think he's for the most part taking the direction towards moving on, and he's a physiotherapist, so he's working now, and then he's got a family, new young family. He just had a child, so him and his wife are focused there, which makes sense. And I think he had sort of had enough from being away from his baby, who was like, we were on the road immediately after he had his kid. So. That was really challenging for him, I'm sure, during that time, and especially grinding and the amount of stress that we were experiencing at that time as well. So the decompression was important.
I bet
it was important. It was a very stressful period for and that's not unique to us. That was for everyone who was going through that.
Well, Pedlo does not go anything under 100%.
No, he does not.
Great run.
He is.
Preparation.
Yes.
I mean, that guy's got the branding and business down of the game.
Yeah.
He honestly might be able to make just as good of a living playing in these small events and kind of just
1,000%
repping himself and doing what he does best. Kind of like a Canadian Casey Pat, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. The same thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he worked really hard to build that brand, and he put in the work.
Yeah, so I gotta imagine he's gonna, not just kind of dump it.
Yeah.
But on the side.
Yeah.
Let it ride, especially with the name he built for himself.
For sure.
I like it.
But I mean, you took a couple months, and what did those couple months look like? I mean, were you just
a lot of junk food?
I was a little strung out when I saw him in Stad.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, we needed a break. We were going very, very hard, and it was through COVID too, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a typical off season to season. It just felt like a 4 or 5 month off season, which was bizarre. Yeah. And in Canada, we had extremely strict lockdowns.
You couldn't even go home.
We weren't even allowed to go outside to the beach to practice. They started tearing down poles from the public beaches because people were still going outside, and it was like a quarantine. It was during quarantine, so it made training very challenging.
Yeah.
And monotonous because we didn't know when the next tournament was. And I mean, this thing hit us when we were in Qatar. And I remember being in the hotel in Qatar and airports were shutting down, and we were like, oh my God, do we pay an extra $1,000 just to take a direct flight? Because we don't want to go through this airport that could potentially get shut down tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we got home, and it was it was shock because we had prepared for this crazy long season and this push and all these events that were lined up, and we knew we only had 4 left, and we had to get these results at these 4, and then we had to do Continental Tour, And then we weren't even sure if the Olympics was going to happen. So they were like, okay, do we shut this whole thing down?
Right.
And Pedro was like, well, I'm going to retire if this is done.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, we didn't really know what to do. So we were sort of hanging on. We didn't know how hard to train, like our whole, peaking for every season. So we had to adjust our YTP, and like everything was just in complete flux, which is stressful. And then once things started up again, it just felt like a rush. And we had to switch coaches, and we had to, make all these adjustments on the fly. So when it was all sort of said and done, we went to Stad after we weren't able to qualify, just to sort of like end it and make a little money. And Stad's a beautiful place to go, so why not?
Yeah.
And then after that, I just did not watch or think about volleyball other than to make money coaching for about 2 months. And then this guy gets the call, and I started training again in like November, December, and it's sort of like, after I was sort of able to let that whole experience go and learn from it and grow from it, I sort of felt more invigorated to play. I was considering retirement, and I just said, I can't go out like that, and I want to give it another shot, and I want to, you talked about not ever thinking, oh, what if I did that? And those are sort of the feelings I had, and I discussed it with my girlfriend and my family, and I was like, I can do this. I can still play, and I wanted to still ball, so I'm back, baby. I'm back.
It's got to feel good, though, to step away and, like, actually give yourself the out. Because, like, for example, when you're in a quad, which was 5 years last year, or last quad, doesn't make any sense. But, you don't give yourself an out, like, at any point in those 5 years, and you change a lot as a person. You're just like, no, this is what I'm doing. You don't really step back and be like, if you don't want to, you don't have to do this. So it must have felt good to kind of step back and kind of be like, you can do whatever you want. You don't owe anything to Sam or Dan or anybody except for yourself, and you can just do it for yourself. And then now that you're back in it, you at least like knew that you had the out.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that convinces you of how all in you actually are when you make that decision, because it's a commitment, right? It's a full-time job. And I think I'm doing some other things to think about and like to sort of test out if I do want to do this for 3 years. And I was like, I took a coaching job at a college. I was doing sort of privates, and it sort of gave me a little snapshot of what it would be like if I stopped and if I stepped away. And I was like, I love what I do with my college program. I love coaching, and I love exploring new things, but nothing quite beats being on tour and sort of competing and sort of testing myself every day, and just having that level of growth is like unbelievable. Every year I'm like, okay, I figured my stuff out. I'm like, nope, haven't figured it out. new level, new add-on, new challenges. So
and just as athletes, we all just have such a finite time period where we get to compete at the level that, you guys are competing at right now. You'll be able to coach at a very high level for as long as you want to be able to coach at a very high level, but you can only jump 40 inches and compete against, Tryon Trevor and Oleg and Krasovnikov and all those guys for X amount of time. So if you feel that passion in there, you might as well just keep going for it.
I was going to say once you're done, but this guy comes back after 7 years. He's able to make him. But not all of us can jump 45 inches,
Well, why?
There's a cost.
Well, why Dan? Because Dan mentioned, and we had talked about this a couple months ago when you guys first announced that you were playing together. But you mentioned that you kind of saw the writing on the wall that you were probably going to move on from playing with Sam at the end of the Tokyo quad, and that you had called Dan and said, hey, get your act together. I think we can be pretty good. Why Dan? Who had been out of the game for a little bit.
Well, Dan and I have known each other since we were like 15. Like we used to play 16U against each other in indoor and beach. So like he's always been in the scene, and I've known him forever. And knowing someone for that long, you get to really have a deep insight into their character, and especially considering like we were full-on rivals as kids. Like not in a bad way where like I hated him, but like it was us in the finals every tournament. And it was like the weirdest thing. Like we would always sort of cross paths and just miss each other for years. Like we actually played a tournament together in 2014. And in Mexico when I was playing with Josh, and Josh had to go to a friend's wedding, so I was like, all right, Dan, let's give this a shot. And we played a tournament there, and then we would always be training partners. So from a talent standpoint, it was obvious, right? Like you watch him play 5 points, and you're like, okay, that guy can play on the world tour. The only question was, is Dan ready to make that jump to like do all the competition, the training that is required, the commitment, and when I spoke to him a couple years back, I was like, hey, I want to play with you, but you got to show me that you're ready for this. And you got to show me that you're willing to put in the work and to keep your body healthy and to go and sacrifice and grind on tour. Because as you know, it's not always immediate when you come on tour. People don't know necessarily this, but Mullen Sorum didn't light it up year one on tour. Like they had a couple years on tour where they had to, they were obviously extremely talented always, and that's going to get you quite far, but they weren't the Mullen Sorum that we now know right away. So it does always take time. And I said to Dan, like, listen, this is important. You need to go out, you need to get experience, and it's going to be hard, and you're probably going to lose a little bit, but it's like you're earning your stripes, and you have to really learn how to deal with loss, and you need to learn sort of learn how to take your punches to be able to like stay in a fight. And I think that I saw him go on tour, and did it, was it sparkles right away? No, it was tough, which is what we expected. And that didn't deter me from being like, oh, this guy doesn't have it. It was like, this guy's putting the effort in, and he's putting the time in, and he's committing, and he's making those sacrifices that people need to make. So from that standpoint, it showed that level of maturity that you're looking for in a man. A man that wants to compete against other men who are exceptional at what they do, literally the best in the world. And once I saw that, it was a completely easy decision.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, it's easy to say that you're committed, and say, oh yeah, I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
We see it all the time. People put up all these like motivational posts on Instagram, like I'm getting after it. But what did you see in Dan to know that like he was committed, or what? Maybe you could weigh in, like, what did you show Sam to show, like, hey, I am actually for real about this? I think saying something and showing something are two very different things.
That's a great question. From 17 to about 25, I've always been that freak of an athlete, but I've always had the word potential with a question mark next to it. It's because I didn't have the work ethic like that a Sam Pedlo had. Mm-hmm. Just put in the work for his body and treated it like a temple. Yeah, I would be lazy. I would train in the sand, and then I would get hurt a little bit, and I would like rest, and I would just rest, and I didn't know how to conquer that fear of pain and like actually put in the work off the sand. So I knew that for most of my career, and I kind of shoved that in the closet and just relied on my talent. And then with maturity of like taking that step back and realizing, wow, you weren't committed. Like there's way more you could have done. I learned that during the process of just growing as a man and knowing that there's way more that I could have done. Knowing how unique I am as a physical athlete means I need to put in more work. So it took. I wish I could have partnered up with him early, but at the same time, I wouldn't have wished that because I wasn't ready. Yeah. So I knew that everyone's always seen me as like a question mark potential athlete, but I know I had to prove to myself first that the work takes place in the weight room, the work takes place with my nutrition, and I was a yes guy. I was like, let's go to a bar, let's go to a party, let's do this, let's do that, let's go out late and then show up late to practice. And I just learned a little bit more about commitment and discipline to be full in, and I had to show that. So he lit the fire under my ass by giving me that phone call, but then I realized even like half a year into that, like he could decide to retire. He could decide to, move on and start a family. I can't control that. So I said, you know what? The only thing I can commit to is knowing that I'm going to put in the work. And the only way I could do it was by showing it. So I used my social media as like, oh, Dan's always been injured. Well, he's in the fucking gym every, 4 to 7 days. And I developed a great relationship with my personal trainer, and I learned about my body. And now I know how to take care of it, and I'm still learning how to take care of it.
Right.
And being able to again learn from Schachter, and he's takes the leadership a little bit more in that role, and then just showing that it's an everyday thing. Like I used to be put in the work, sit on my ass, play video games, and eat like shit. And now it's like, no, it's like, wow, I need to do this for 30 minutes, and I need to do that for 20 minutes, and earn, a treat at the end of the day. But I was just very immature when I was younger, and honestly, it took 7 years to realize that, but I'm so grateful to have the opportunity. I'd rather, go to the Olympics and medal 1 year than have like a shitty career for like 8 years. So I'm grateful for the opportunity and to even though he asked me, I'm doing it for myself to be able to, again, I said earlier, to be able to face the fear that I ran away from, to be able to like, not this time. Yeah. I got the work ethic now, so let's go.
Yeah.
So
it's a cool perspective to have, especially because I don't think many people would be humble enough to admit that if he'd have asked me 7 years earlier, I would have been ready. And you said, what, I wasn't in the right mental space to be playing with the best defender in Canada. Like I needed that sort of space away from it to realize what exactly I needed to do. Because it takes like a complete dropping of the ego to have that realization. And it's cool to have that self-awareness.
Yeah, I was the guy who relied on his talent and had a lazy work ethic. So now with both combined, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier the gold medal, and you guys said you're kind of trying to commit to this quad together, but do you guys have any, and I'm not putting this gold medal on you guys, but do you guys have any specific goals that you've come up with yet, or kind of just playing it by ear?
So for me, right now, like we're in such early stages of our partnership. Like this is our first exposure to international teams. Right. It's like this week. Yeah. Right? Like Latvia is the first non-USA team we've played together. So I think as of right now, like we do have lofty aspirations, don't get me wrong, but in terms of what our short-term goals are, to me are a little more important, which is like developing chemistry, developing our systems. Like we're still figuring out what we are as a team. And I think once we know that, we can sort of build quickly on top of that, right? Like goal setting is a extremely critical part of our journey and what we do as athletes. But for us right now, we want we have a clear goal, which is to qualify for the Olympics, and then I think we both understand that the team has potential to win a gold medal and do all those very difficult and amazing things. But if we look too far ahead, we sort of lose sight of like sort of the process, and I think sticking to those process goals are really important for us because we're so new.
For sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah. Especially like with the whole Olympic process, and this year we only have one season out of Olympic qualification. Mm-hmm. I keep having to remind myself, like, remember, this is the year you wanted. You wanted finally a year where you're not like stressing about Olympics and all that. So like, just be here and enjoy this moment. Obviously, you got to keep pushing and get better and all that, because it is one of our 10, 20 years that you get as a professional athlete. But also like enjoy not having that Olympic stress.
For sure. Sure, this is like a special year for like us to just figure our shit out, and then we'll worry about the Olympics. Stop putting that on me, bro. It's stressing me out.
That's why I said
I'm having a heart palpitation. I'm not just talking about this thing.
His aura ring's about to explode.
I just got over that thing. Shit, man.
Don't even say that word. I'm right there with you. I somehow ended up at the Olympics, but I was right there with you. 2 Olympics in a row. Like, God damn it.
It was fun for us to watch. Shit, this guy needs a 5th. Here we go.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Let's watch these Americans just kill each other.
Let's watch them at dinner. See if they look each other in the eyes. Trevor and Taylor have to
imagine
act like
brothers. Like, oh my God.
Oh God. And then me and Jake, after those 2 quads, at the end of all
So
of it,
funny.
we're in the Olympics together.
Oh my god.
Like, what the hell is going on?
Jake hasn't spoken to me in 8 years.
That's literally exactly what happened.
It's amazing. That whole experience is just hysterical. I mean, not
What a
poor Taylor,
complete
but
shit show. Well, we went over it well in Whiskey with the Crabs episode.
Oh,
so
man.
you'll have to
Cannot
listen to
wait.
that
How are we gonna
Definitely
follow
will.
that up with this shit?
one. Here, chug this monster.
do you guys have, we won't keep you here too much longer, but I'm just so curious. You guys have, you mentioned trials for World Championships?
Yeah, exactly.
How does that work exactly? Is it just like a straight up, like a tournament for
Yeah,
one spot?
sort of. I
Okay.
mean, there's basically 2 tournaments in order for us to qualify for the Worlds. One of the new rules that is in the new world and the new tour is that you have to be ranked within the top 500 in order to be able to attend World Championship. So you just can't be a bum off the street and come to our trials. You have to sort of have a certain level of standing within the world FIVB points in order to be able to
Are
participate.
there 500 teams? You have to be top 500?
You have to be like top 500 in terms of like your individual point ranking.
Who's ranked 501?
I don't know. Maybe like someone who went to
basically-
a Norseca one time.
You've had to play in a Norseca or an FIVB in the last. Like,
Right. Like they just
Can you
don't
get a shot at
want
this tournament?
bin stock coming out of the woodwork who has no points, who could take a
Okay.
spot away from someone who's
was
actually
wondering
like
if it-
active on the tour.
Okay. My first thought was that maybe they'd be trying to have, because there's a couple teams that, I remember Kerry and Brooke beat a team like 21-2.
Yeah.
Just like
yeah,
some of the random
exactly.
like African countries.
And I
that
think
slip in
that's
there.
also
Okay.
trying to prevent
Okay.
that from
That
happening
makes
as
more
well.
sense.
They want teams who are like actually participating rather
Okay.
than sort of like just like I don't want to say stealing the spot, but just like
Right.
sort of occupying a spot that would otherwise go to a team that perhaps from
Would be
the
competitive.
viewer's perspective would be more entertaining or
Yeah.
deserving of that spot based on their commitment. So you have to be ranked within that top 500 in order to participate in our trials, and then which I think like narrows it down to about 6 teams.
Okay.
So we'll have like a little internal tournament. So they'll rank you based on the points. So they'll be Ben and Grant, myself, Jake and Russell, and then like a few other teams. And then we'll all play, and whoever wins that berth has to go to Norseca to play a tournament, which is
Okay.
our continental tour. And then there's 2 pools of 6, which include like Mexico, USA should be in that. If you guys don't already have, I'm not sure if there's a country quota on your World Champs berth.
I don't think so.
But if there is like a cap, like a country cap, like only 2 allowed, let's say, then USA might be eliminated from that if
Right,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
qualify 2 teams.
Right.
If not, then you'll send a team. And then anyway, so there are 2 berths that are given at that tournament. So we'll
Okay.
be in a pool with I think Cuba and Dominican and
Puerto
Trinidad
Rico,
and
Trinidad,
Nicaragua
yeah.
and stuff like that. And in the other pool, it will be like Mexico, USA, and then some of the other arguably weaker teams in the continental tour.
Okay.
And then those 2 berths go.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know that. There's so many changes. I can't keep up with all of them.
Me neither. I'm just regurgitating.
You did a good job.
I like read the
That was
email
well
yesterday. I
explained.
got lucky.
Because it was funny because Jake was like, "Are you stoked to like have a U.S. trial for Worlds?" It's like, what? I don't think we'll have it just because I think we'll have enough teams who automatically qualify. But
I'm not
This is the
sure what the
first time
partner
hearing of
changes
this.
though,
that's true.
because I think Jake and Taylor would have been a lock, but now it's Taylor and
Taylor.
Taylor
Well,
Sander.
it wouldn't like.
And I don't know how many points, but I think they did well at tournaments. So they
Theo
might
and-
have enough.
Yeah.
Theo and Kane might have enough.
Yeah.
But like
And then
Nick and Phil are gone.
Theo and Nick could just
Theo
sign
and Nick.
up and
Right.
be automatic or
So I think you guys
Yeah.
can finagle a pair together to like qualify, but I'm not sure if it will be like a natural pairing.
But it'll
of
get
your, like-
decided in the first few events, right? When's the cutoff again?
I don't know because we're gonna do the
You're-
Norseca
you guys are
route.
different
It's like
now.
end of May,
End of May.
I think, and because that was one of the big things is that there was really only I think 3. Originally, there's only 2 or 3 challengers before World Champs, and so all the challenger people were freaking out. They're like, "This can't be right. How are we going to qualify for this tournament when we can't play?"
Right.
And so that's when I think they added the challengers in Doha and Turkey, and
Right.
I forget the other 2, but
Like Greece or something.
they filled it out.
World Champs in Rome sounds pretty dope.
Yeah,
on paper.
Yeah.
Like if they can fill the stands like they did in Hamburg. That was the last World Champs we had, right?
No, let's not fuck this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a
I'm
great.
fucking stressed again. Trying to. Can't just have a casual conversation.
Gotta be brutal. No, I'm just picturing Hamburg, but in Rome now, like one of the most like I don't know, crazy energy city. You know, like being like down the street from like the freaking Roman Colosseum. And stuff. You're like eating dinner. They're like, what? Like how?
You played there left-handed
Yeah, I did.
in the World Tour final.
I made a jump there.
Left-handed jump serve.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and Trevor's like when I throw it up, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, this is my only chance to do a left-handed jump serve on the World Tour. And like, it kind of somewhat makes
It was
sense.
amazing.
And we won the point.
And now Trev can probably do that because he's
now
like his
he
right
think-
shoulder was falling off.
Yeah, now he thinks he just is so good at left-handed now.
I saw him hit a couple like tranny sets when you guys were at training
But it's
with
not
that
like
left.
impressive. It's like anyone can left. He just like goes for it because he's like,
Just give him
good at
just
lefty.
give him this, okay? Take it.
You're right. You know Trevor well now. Yeah, dude, your lefty's so
it's
good, man.
amazing.
You
Good
bounced
job.
that. You bounced that thing.
Well, fully ambidextrous. I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
When do you guys leave for Mexico?
On Sunday the 13th. So
Right
we
on.
got basically another week and change. And then we're off, yeah.
Good deal. And then are you going back to Canada after that?
Yeah, well, we have to go back immediately actually for the trials. Like the tournament ends
man.
on
Okay.
Sunday and our trials start on Wednesday.
Okay.
So it's going to be, thank God, no time change, which is good.
Yeah.
But it'll be like kind of tight when
it
we
indoor?
make it to the finals,
Yes.
right?
Indoors.
Indoor, yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, which is bizarre, right? Like I
I feel
think,
like that would mess with me.
oh, dude,
Especially in the
so
trials.
hard to move back and forth.
Where it's like, we have to win this one.
The ball moves completely different.
God, that's going to be stressful.
Here I am dealing with like Samoilovs and Smedins and like, oh my god, ball's moving, win
Yeah, no,
these fast
good
sets
for you.
to
Yeah.
Right where it was a second ago.
yeah, exactly.
my
It's
God.
ball man the entire time. Oh, you're still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. We
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on. Thanks for taking the time.
appreciate
for
that.
having
Yeah,
us.
thanks for having us. Yeah.
Stoked.
Good luck down in Mexico. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah.
Fun to watch.
Yeah, it will be.
Anyone know how to pronounce the name of the first city
Oh
that we're
God,
going to?
I don't want to.
Everyone's just saying
Tecala?
Mexico.
Yeah.
Tecala? I don't know.
It's,
Texaco.
it's so funny because I'm going to be commentating
Wanted to
that for
hear
the
all that.
FIVB.
Sounds like
and
a
I
drink
asked,
you guys are drinking.
I asked the guy from the FIVB who, or Volleyball World, I was like, how do you pronounce this? He goes, I think we're going to be using Mexico City.
It's 2 hours out of Mexico City.
That's a good idea.
We'll just say Tecate. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you.
you.
Shoots.
Shoots.